So hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is JSMFX, where we always focus on how we compound our investments. Welcome for anyone that's out there, outside the country. Myself, I'm from Kenya, so good morning, good afternoon, and also good evening, depending on where you're watching us, or rather watching me from. Okay, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to look at the reviews, okay, and do also the analysis for the 16th to the 20th of February, and also look at the forecast, possible or probable forecast for the 23rd to 27th of February 2026. So sit back, strap up, and let's begin the video. Okay, so just as always, we're going to start off or begin with the news to look at what we will be looking at from Monday the next week. Okay, so for next week from 23rd to 27th of February 2026, for me, I first and foremost, I normally trade the USD CHF, the Euro USD, and the DAX. Okay, so normally for so many news that many people wait on, I don't normally look at them. I only depend on I only focus on the US news. Okay, yeah, so that is my main aim, because is what I feel, according to my data, has been moving moving the price so much with so much volatility, and it has also helped me to react in the moves that are going to be made specifically from those pairs. Okay, so even if we look at the news, I'm not going to explain much about the euro news, say the what do you call it, the Aussie news, and all those Chinese, or rather Asian news. I only focus on the US news. So according to what I'm seeing here coming in next week, I see Monday nothing will happen. Okay, so meaning for this one, it won't be that much important for me. Tuesday, yes, we have the USD news, but for me, ADP employment change, it's not really also that significant. Okay, so I don't actually look at that, and I'll continue just checking on my charts and looking at what I'll be expecting to react from, and also get to know where I should take my trades or how I should get in. Wednesday also nothing much. Well, I will be focused on this Euro CPI, okay, coming in next week on Wednesday, February 25th. Okay, so I'll be very much focused on that, and I will want to see maybe what that can do, say maybe on the I think it may happen on London Open, or rather the London session. So this is something that I'll be a bit watchful about. Thursday, yes, we have the jobless claims, but to me, this is also not that important. It doesn't really move the market according to my data, but I'll just be watchful to just keep in mind to always check on Thursday to find out if there are any news. So if this is around, I'll be very much aware to know where to react, or maybe get to anticipate on the move that maybe the market will make on this day. Friday, now the CHF news, I think that's something that I also have to be watchful of. So I will be very much concentrating on this one to see on also how price will react from there. With this euro news right here, that is not really that important, but I'll only have that time and date marked so that I see maybe if something will happen, but it's not that important for me. What is important now on Friday is this PPI. Okay, so this is something now I'll be very much aware of, and I'll be very much cognizant so that I don't miss out on maybe the possible moves that might happen on that day. So I don't see anything big, or maybe seeing a busy week that will play out on next week. So let's just wait and see. As we also look at the charts, beginning with the DAX, we'll want to see what will happen from there. So how about we just jump straight into the charts, starting off with the Germany 40 and see what we have in store. Let's begin. Okay, so starting off with the DAX. Okay, so from the monthly, we've always seen this uptrend, and for me, I believe it's still continuing to the upside. Okay, because even after all this move that happened like this, okay, and after also the range that I think happened last year, we see that this year has also opened with an uptrend. Okay, so yes, we had this pullback with this doji right here, but again we see price trying to push itself up, maybe to continue breaking those highs and also continue with the uptrend, reacting from this demand. Okay, so maybe this might continue. We'll have just to wait and see what will actually play out. But for me, nothing much to see on the monthly. It's just that this demand price reacted from it, and yeah, just now waiting to see what will play out, especially in the lower time frames, to see if we can get any kind of bias or direction. But for now, from the monthly, price is just continuing to the upside. Weekly also same thing. I think this was last year, if I'm not wrong. No, this was 2024. This is 2025. Okay, so anyway, okay, so we see the move to the upside still continuing like that. Uh, in most of 2025, we had the range, okay, from up to down. For price took out liquidity from all these lows, then it shot to the upside. Right here, we notice I've explained this much in so many of my videos, where we had this move to the upside, then this was a pullback, okay, which then again push price to the upside again. Okay, so that pullback, remember that pullback with the doji, this is the one that happened in the weekly, where we had that downtrend to that demand, and then it's from that demand that we see the price push to the upside. So what is a conundrum right now is price reacting from this demand is very much uncertain for us to actually anticipate if price is going to continue higher, because I'm not going to say this is a supply, okay, but in the lower time frame it is. What I can only say is price is actually showing a momentum still to the upside. So from the weekly, for me, I'm not, having any guesses to maybe, look for any sell setups to the downside, maybe to come and mitigate this demand. So I'll have to see more and more conferences happening around here, especially also from this demand. And also judging from my quote, you can see a break below this demand will at least give me a short swing idea. Okay, otherwise price is still respecting the bullish order flow. So unless we see price breaking this demand and also this low, price is still on an uptrend. Okay, price is still on an uptrend, and I cannot say much about what is happening on the weekly. Let's just jump into the lower time frames and see if we can get something or maybe any idea. From the daily now, at least things are opening up, but really not that clear again, like I said. So let's just start off from the structure where we're playing with. So we have this low, okay, which broke this last high like that. Price now pulled back, okay, with that doji. So this is the drama that happened with the doji, okay, on how you see price coming back to this demand and then reacted from it, again came back lower to take out these lows, and also building this double bottom with that low and that low, and then price coming up right here, then coming down to take out those lows, the doubled bottom, and then came up again. You see how now they were chopping, guys, from the buy side and the sell side. Right here we have the buy side where they took out that high and then now came back low, but I think they didn't break this last low, okay, but shot up from there. Okay, so they went up, came back down, came up again to now mitigate that supply according to 4 hour, I guess. Yeah, 4 hour, this was a supply, But from the daily, I'm not seeing this much as a supply, but we're yet to see how things will play out next week if price will react from there, because as you can see, with the benefit of hindsight, we have price dancing inside that area of interest. So we have again price pushing back low to take out all these lows that were here, and then pushing back up. So for me, it's really intricating to actually look at this price and talk about maybe the next move. What is just evident for now is because we have that perspective of an uptrend from the monthly. I see this candle right here. I don't know if you're seeing it, but this candle right here, I see price, coming back to it right now, and it actually reacted, okay, with this candle, this bullish candle. It actually reacted to the upside like that, okay. So let me just draw this candle just to show you what I'm talking about. So price could be reacting from there, and then maybe now continue with that anticipated uptrend from that point, as we just saw from the monthly and the weekly. So that's just how I'm looking at the daily, where I'm seeing maybe price reacting from that point and then continue to the upside. If I am going to anticipate a move to the downside, maybe start off some kind of selling trades and also looking for that sell trend, then bearish trend, sorry, then I'll need to see maybe a break of this low right here, okay, like that, and then look for any supply from there, and maybe now play that move to the downside to maybe come and take out these lows and also take out those lows, just create that bearish kind of order flow, okay. But for now, if you ask me, I'm just going to sit on my hands and wait to get to see if I can grab any opportunity also in the 4 hour, because I'm a swing trader. Okay, I turned to be a swing trader very recently, I think late last year. So I'm yet to see how the swing trading will play out. But so far so good. Swing trading is good. So my entries are on the 4 hour, targeting 3R, just to keep it short and clear. Maybe hold on a trade, maybe the the most is 2-3 days, but within the week, okay, and also taking one trade a week, okay. So let's look at the 4 hour and see what will happen. So the daily now for me, like I always say, the green POIs, those are the daily POIs, okay, and then the brown POIs now are the 4 hour POIs, which we're going to concentrate on, okay. So let us now begin. So we have this high building this low, and then price push to the upside, okay, like that. I'm going to zoom in so that you guys can get a clear picture, but I'll try also to zoom out so that you can understand what I normally mean with the whole strategy, okay. Okay, so right here is where we had that supply which we were talking about from the daily, and also it was a descending triangle, which as you can see, price came in, created lower highs but not a lower low, until here where we see now price pushing down very impulsively to the downside, created another supply, came back down again to react from that demand, but it was what do you call it, it was just a liquidity buildup, where next we see price coming down to take out those lows and also mitigate further down to some sort of demand around here, especially this inside bar in orange color. So we see price shooting up, creating, or rather breaking this high, and also creating change of character, and then we see another move to the upside, okay, move to the upside, where again we had a very change of character from the supply, which now gave me the idea to actually take this sell trade from there, okay. When price came up here, I got that sell stop, which price tagged me, came back up, but I already made peace with my losses, knowing that if it comes above here, then that will be an invalid trade, and make peace with my losses to accept that that is a bygone. So again, we see the move to the downside, which gave me a very good profit here from my 4 hour perspective trades. As you can see, also price came down to take out those lows and also mitigate further down. inside this demand. Then again, price pushed to the upside, okay, to actually create that double bottom, which later on price came and took them out. Again, price pushed up, okay, to create the change of character, the bullish one, which then again we see price uh, uh, going back down to create that bearish order flow. Okay, all this is just a sense of trying to get to the discounted areas before maybe continuing with the move to the upside, because it's evident that the same way we have seen the order flow from the monthly, also the 4 hour is telling us that we are still bullish according to my analysis. So here is where price push back to this supply, this inside bar. This is a missed trade. Whenever you see these purple and red PNL boxes, then that's not, just know that that is my missed trade. And as you can see, it went down actually to take out those lows, you know, and also trying to tell me that I should have taken that trade. So we have the move now to the upside. Okay, price creating that bearish kind of character, change of character, but we see again price pushing up to take out all these highs, okay, and also to mitigate slightly inside this supply that was left on is it Sunday the 18th January 2026. That's last month. Okay, so again a little bit of a range, and then price push down to take out officially this demand. Okay, and that's when I had this idea of looking at this area and also this area as my next supply, like that, and also anticipate for that move to the downside to actually come and mitigate this demand here that was left out. Okay, but that wasn't the case. Price did whatever it felt like doing, and as you can see, price did actually play out according to the way I expected. Now, I want to say something. From this supply, which I actually deleted, okay, from this supply, yes, I'd have expected price to come down, okay, but because of the benefit of hindsight, that didn't happen. So meaning, for me, like I say, and I always say in my plan, whenever price comes inside my POI, like say, for example, this supply, I will come to the low of that supply, okay, and place in a sell stop. So for this case, you can see the sell stop wasn't hit. So price just went up, pulled back, and then continued to the upside like that. Okay, so meaning it was not hit. Okay, so for those also that are in my group, especially Telegram, you can tell that this was not hit. Okay, and price pushed to the upside. Okay, so meaning this is a safe trade for me because price didn't hit, it didn't target, okay, to enter it. And the second one is this one. When price pushed in deeper inside this supply, I was anticipating for it to at least take out those highs and possibly just impulsively continue to the downside, but that wasn't the case. So this is another sell stop that didn't get tagged. So you see how sometimes you can also play safe with these trades to not actually get involved in trades that we know were negatively predicted. Okay, so as you can see, sell stop here didn't get tagged, sell stop here didn't get tagged, so we didn't have any trade, okay, and we don't have any loss. So you know, fair day. Okay, fair day for us as traders. So we see the pullback again, making that, or rather creating that change of character, the bearish one, but also again we see price continuing to the upside to take out those highs. So if you ask me right now, I really can't tell anything from the 4 hour of the DAX. But what I'd love to see, if next week, if we have or get anything like this, a break of this low, then we create that bearish change of character, then I look for any supply, and then, you know, maybe play that anticipated move to react, and maybe see on how price maybe will continue, or rather do another move to the downside. But for now, heavily evident is the fact that price is still on an uptrend. And also we see the price here, price down here, has pulled back inside the what do you call them, the discounted areas. So we should expect price to just continue to the upside and continue buying, and also targeting this week swing highs. Okay, so that's just it from the DAX. From the 4 hour, 15 minutes, not really that much because I wasn't really involved in this pair this week. Okay, but also looking at an overview of the whole pair, we can see that price is still shooting to the upside because we had this move to the downside like that on the 15 minute, and then we had the move to the upside which broke this high. So meaning this one could be the higher low, okay, that has just been created, and price is now continuing to the upside as predicted. So nothing much to see here from the 15 minutes because I'm a swing trader, so I'm only going to wait on the 4 hour setups to see maybe how things will play out. So that's just it for the DAX. Let's now jump into the USD CHF before we finish with the Euro USD. Okay, so USD CHF, just as usual, starting off from the monthly. Well, from this low, I see price still holding. You know, price is just still holding from here. As you can see, price has gone up, you know, came back down, but it only came back down to this whole demand of the monthly. Okay, so what is just evident right now is price push back here, came down, push back, came down again, and then push back to that supply and then short to the downside to continue or respecting that bearish order flow. So we cannot tell, I cannot tell for sure if whatever is happening is actually giving us proof of, you know, maybe deeper pullbacks, maybe say to these exchanging wicks, or also maybe just continuing to sell from there and continue to the downside. So anything still can happen, but for me, I have told myself here that I have nothing to say here but waiting to see if price could pull back to this exchanging weeks supply before the run down. Okay, so if I do see something like this, maybe to this exchanging weeks, then there'll be where I'll be looking maybe for my possible entries for the sales to the downside um, to continue with the order flow to the downside. But as for now, this candle for the monthly could be the monthly candle to maybe facilitate that pullback. Okay, it could be the candle that will facilitate that pullback. But either way, and but then again, we'll have to see what, or rather how this month will close. Okay, and wait upon next month to see what will actually happen. Weekly now, well, we see price pushing up, okay, a bit deeper, and we could also have that a little bit of conviction that we are still continuing to the upside. Sorry, we are doing that pullback to the upside. So for me, I see this low building that high, which later on broke that low to create that lower low, possible lower low. So for now, I see price pushing back right here, and then it came back down, and then with this candle now it's trying to pull back. So the pullback for me is to this candle. But what is uncertain is, will it react from here to continue to the downside, or maybe break that candle and do a slight pullback, say for example to this what do you call it, that exchanging wicks, and also this, according to now the weekly, this now is the buy to sell range. Okay, so maybe to that area of interest before maybe continue to the downside. So I'm saying buy to sell range because it started off from that inside bar, okay, all the way to the top right like that. Okay, so yes, we might call this a supply from the weekly, but also we have this range that price also could come to, okay, and also react from there and continue to the downside. So anything still can happen, but we'll just have to wait and see how the month will close and how next month will also open up. The daily also giving us a little bit of vibes of maybe continue to the upside, but it's also a bit confusing because you never know what can happen. Okay, so we have, for me, I have this low okay, building that high just as usual, like we saw in the weekly. And then we have that high now taking out those lows, okay, this sell side liquidity. So this pullback right here, as you can see from this candle, let me now draw in clearly from here. We have the pullback from with this candle, and then we have another we have a move to the upside with this candle, then a pullback with this inside bar, which later on price shot to the upside. I think, I'm not really sure, I think this was, I think this was, no, this was not NFP, but we'll just see that from the lower time frame, especially the 4 hour. But we have this move which push price higher, okay, and creating that somewhat demand. Then later on, price came down to take out those lows, okay. So two things: price pushed up, came back down, pushed up, came back down, and then pushed up again. So meaning it's trying to create that bullish kind of order flow, possibly to facilitate the pullback of the daily between that high and this low. If I'm going to anticipate that pullback, then I'm going to anticipate it further up to any areas of supply around here, especially on the lower time frames, because looking at the daily, this one to me looked mitigated. So unless they would also want to still come back here again, then I'll just have to be patient and see how that will play out. Okay, then maybe from there we will maybe see that kind of reaction. Say for example, a low build up, then change of character, then look for any supplies, and then continue to the downside. And also don't forget that this bullish kind of order flow that's being created could be, okay, it could be an order flow to also build liquidity. Okay, so let me try and see if I can find that liquidity line. So like that. Okay, okay, so they could be building that kind of liquidity flow, liquidity trap before maybe taking people out later on, maybe during the first quarter of the year. And then we have this low, remember this low that we talked of that was taken out with this candle right here. So let me remove this so that you can see. So you see that? So this low being taken out is also evidence that price could be saying that, you know what, after taking out these lows, now we are ready to just continue with the move to the upside like that. Okay, so this is where now this daily, say for example, supply is not actually a valid supply to me, but I've just marked on it to, you know, wait and see if price will react from. So it is from this supply that I'll be waiting to see if price will break through to the upside, or maybe just react from there and then continue to the downside. So still, like I said, anything will happen. Anything can happen. And also coming into the last week, we will have to wait and see what will play out. Okay, but for now, price is still is playing between that this supply and also this demand that was created with that kind of anticipated bullish order flow to the upside. So yeah, so anything can happen. Let's now look at the 4 hour and see maybe if that is true or not. So from the 4 hour, starting off from with the structure, let me just start off with the structure. Sorry, my chart is dirty, but also it's helping me explain to you how these things are playing out, and also helping me revise on my notes, you know, to actually look out for those things that I also missed, and also show you the trades that I took that maybe can be useful for you and also in your learning process and trading journey. So for me, I have this high breaking out this low, okay, and then creating this low right here, okay, the, what do you call it, the lower low. So we have this move to the upside, price came down. Let me now zoom in. Price came down like that and then pushed up to this supply. This is another missed trade. This would have been a very good trade because it reacted within few hours. Sorry, I played out within few hours to actually give me that 3R, but you know, I didn't play it out. So yeah, better luck next time. So I see move to the downside, creating those double bottom, which later on price induced buyers, you know, to get in, thinking that they could react from this demand, but that wasn't the case. So later on, price came down to take out all those lows, sell side liquidity, and also continue with the downtrend to the downside. So now it's from here where, yes, we didn't have that change of character on the 4 hour up until here, okay, where price now shot to the upside to take out all those highs, okay, and also build that order flow, bullish order flow to the upside with these eyeballs and also these anticipated eyeballs, which I am also expecting for price to break to the upside. Now, before that, we can see here that price pulled back and then came back up to this supply, okay. And for me, I felt maybe with this ascending triangle, price would break to the upside and now do that deeper pullback as anticipated. But that was different from what I was expecting. As you can see, that was a losing trade where price now came back down to take out all those lows, okay, that were built here, the sell side. And then again, we see price shooting to the upside like that. And then with this low got broken here to create that bearish change of character, price pull back to that supply and then continue to the downside to actually come and mitigate this demand that was actually mitigated with this hanging man. I don't know if it's a hanging man or the morning star candle, but deeper inside this demand, okay, which later on again it was used, okay, it was used for price to react from and then take people out again with that low, okay. So meaning now this pullback now gave us now that true change of character to the upside. Now there's one thing I'd love to say. The same way we didn't see that change of character in the daily, we are seeing several of them from the 4 hour. Number one, we have this low taken out, okay, right here. And then we have this move to the upside, breaking these highs, meaning that since price didn't react from it and broke above, then we have a change of character from there. So again, we see a pullback now. After that change of character, we see a pullback to that demand, which later on with the NFP, we can see evidently that price went to the upside. But what I was fixated on the most is after I put up this note to tell me that if price closes below this demand, which is this one now, if price closes below that demand, that means with this move to the downside, if it did close below that demand, after the chalk, I think after the chalk, yeah, change of character here, I will scrap off the idea of anticipated pullback. But you see, already I'm telling myself this got my mind off from thinking about the anticipated pullback, okay, this pullback to the upside, okay. So after NFP happened, I forgot that price would still come back down, okay, and play out to this supply, from this demand, because we've had the change of character, we've had the return to that demand, and then we had a push up higher to break out this high, okay. So meaning that this return like this could have been a very good trade for me to take out from here. So what I'm being honest about right now is I didn't take this trade, okay, but I shared it in the group. So if you are in my group and you took this trade, then you should be laughing to the bank right now, because as you can see, price reacted very well from that demand. And this is the beauty also. This is a beauty of SMC, the smart money concept trading strategy, where price reacts from each and every specific point of interest, unless it was not touched, like let's say from here. Okay, so as you can see, I shared this out to the group and I told them, guys, you can take this. After the NFP, price came and mitigated that demand, filled up this void, and then continue to the upside like that, okay, to take out those highs with that high. And then as you can see, even from here, you can see this demand, price shot up, came back down to react from it, came up, came back down to react from this next demand, came up, came back down. Now let me draw in on this one. Came down to react from that demand, came up, created this demand again with this pullback, price went up, came back down to react from this demand, went up again. So in this now, this second trade, this is where I got involved, okay. I got involved here as much as I was at work, and this is what actually now what happened this week, okay, because the week started off from this blue line to this blue line. So this is what happened this week. This was, I think, on Thursday. Okay, so I saw this demand being created, but for me, I was looking at this candle here, the bearish one. That's the one I was looking at as the demand. So I took the trade here with a buy stop, which got tagged, and as you can see, came back very swiftly to come to this supply and also to, you know, give us that 3R from this first trade. Okay, this first trade. So for this second trade now, things were a bit on a limbo because now price has come to this supply. Okay. But I also put up this note to tell myself this one thing, that if price closes above this supply and the last high, okay, that means this supply and this last high, okay, I will implore the idea of that deeper pullback. But you see, I don't want to say that it was a little bit late for me, but it was timely to at least, you know, grab it early enough to play out to the upside. Okay, so for me, I see this supply being breached by these multiple candles, but I'm not really sure if it's, you know, going to continue to the upside, because the case here is we have this pullback, okay, which created a demand because price shot to the upside. Okay, I don't know if this candle, no, this candle didn't, this bullish candle didn't break this last high. Okay, right here. It didn't break this last high, but it only took out liquidity by, you know, taking out that high. Okay, and then later on we see price coming back down to this demand. So you see how they're actually playing with our minds to leave out those liquidity areas so that they can come later to mitigate them and then maybe continue with the direction that they intended to go. Okay, now we have this low, which now price has taken it out and created that bearish change of character. And with this week here, okay, with this same candle, this week is a pullback, which we see price coming back up to this candle where it opened and went back up, came back down, and then now it's here, okay, creating that kind of a hanging man. So two things can happen from here. Number one, we could still continue to the upside, okay, as anticipated. Number two, this supply could still hold. As much as price has taken out its high, it could still hold because it's evident now that we had that change of character and we've had that pullback with these 2 weeks. Okay, so meaning that from these weeks, price could still also continue to the downside to also take out these lows. Remember, they could be building that bearish kind of the sell side, liquidity. Okay, so for me too, I'm confused right now because the green daily POIs, especially this supply, could be the one holding, okay, and will be used, okay, to push price to the downside and continue with that order flow, the bearish order flow. Okay, but yet again, I am still in this trade, this second trade, okay, to the upside, and I'm still anticipating at least for price to push up to come at least mitigate this area of supply which was left before the break of structure on my 4-hour time frame. Okay, so that is just the forecast that I'm seeing on USD CHF. For the third trade, this one here, okay, I was reacting from this demand. So you see this demand, this candle, that one there. Okay, I was reacting from there, but I forgot that we had left this void, which later on price came and took them out and also mitigate this demand. Okay, so two things: either price now, you know, say for example, opens with a gap next week to the upside, or maybe opens to the gap next week to the downside, to possibly come and also take out these lows to mitigate also this green demand, okay, which later on maybe it could be the one that will be used to the upside, okay, and continue with that bullish uptrend and also facilitate that daily and 4-hour pullback, okay, to the upside. So that's just the focus I have on USD CHF coming in next week. And also I'm holding on to this second trade right here. I'm still holding on to this one, but I think there's one account that hit break even, okay, which my break even was at this demand right here. But for now, I think two of my other accounts, they are still alive for this trade. And yeah, just one account, that is alive for that. That's one other account that's alive for this trend that is still continuing to the upside, and my stop loss still there. And also I've made peace with my stop loss, so even if it comes and takes me out, fine, it's okay. We'll what do you call it, we'll rinse and then we'll repeat. Okay, we'll just rinse and repeat and see what next week will give us, all what it has in store. 15 minutes also, we can say that we are evident that we are respecting that bullish order flow, because if you check very well from the whole structure, let me try and zoom out, sorry for the dirty um, dirty chart the way I've put it, but I'm just giving you an overview of what is happening. So from this low, sorry, from this high, we see price coming back down like that, and then coming back up to take out that high, to also signal for us that we could be continuing to the upside. So again, this pullback we see coming evidently to that discounted areas, and then now price giving us that bullish internal order flow. Okay, like that, you see that? Okay, so for me, I am playing inside the bullish order flow, inside the bullish internal order flow. I'm having this as my high, okay, which did that significant pullback. Okay, so I'm having that high and also playing out with this. Actually, my low should be here. So in between this low and this high, price has pushed back to that what do you call it, the not really the discounted area. I think it touched the 50% equilibrium, but I'm still not sure of that, because normally for me, I don't look at the 15-minute that much. Okay, so what I can only say is, with this push, the impulsive push to the downside, I am seeing here that we have a change of character. Okay, so two things: either price reacts from there and then continue to the downside like this, because we still have a demand here that's unmitigated. Okay, then maybe from there now we might see push to the upside to continue with that bullish internal order flow, and also the 15-minute swing structure order flow to the upside. So still anything can happen. Let's wait and see what will play out coming in next week. But for me, I'm still seeing this as my week high and expecting for price to at least come and take those guys out and also mitigate this supply. So that's just it from USD CHF. Let's now close the episode and the week with Euro USD. Okay, so last but not least, Euro USD. Now, from the monthly, have that high, creating that low, and then later on breaking to the upside to break that high. So this whole downtrend like that has just been a pullback, okay, to the discounted areas of the monthly demand, okay, and also take out this low right here. Okay, so for now, this bearish order flow is still continuing, because we see we have that pullback to these areas of premium sides, and also come up to these areas of above the 50% EQ of the range of this high and this low. So possibly from there, we could also see evidently that we have this supply. The price could be reacting from that point and then continue to the downside. And also we have a series of demands here down there that maybe we'd expect, or rather myself, I'd be anticipating for price to come back down. But again, we have this low. Let me try and zoom in. I have this low right here. If price breaks below that low, then meaning, let me just remove this one first. If price breaks below this low right here, because it will be reacting from this supply, then I'll be looking for any other area of supply around there, and then play that move to the downside, either to these exchanging wicks. Okay, but I don't see this being very important, but this is more important because it was the one used to break these highs and these highs. So this one for me is the one that is most important to actually wait to see price maybe coming down there if this whole anticipation happens. Okay, so jumping into the weekly, same as the monthly. I'm also seeing price going up. Okay, having a little pullback, up again, little pullback, up again, and then we had a lot of range, with ups and downs being taken out, and then we start now building that areas of demand where price now got pushing up, okay, to actually continue with that move to the upside. So right here, price pulled back, but it only pulled back to this sell to buy range, this one here. See this one? It pulled back to that whole range because that was where the start of the pullback happened. Okay, so again, after there, the price reacted to create that bullish candle, move to the upside, but it didn't actually break above this high. But what we see next is this bearish candle coming back down to take out those lows. Okay, so two things: either this week that is being built right now will be the week that will just, mitigate this area of, I'm not saying demand, but this area of interest, sorry, not really supply, but this area of interest supply, and then maybe continue to the downside to come and mitigate officially this demand that was left unmitigated before maybe continuing with the move to the down to the upside. But also, again, the reason why I trade USD is because they move entirely, I think 90% opposite. So if I'm anticipating a long-term sell from here, then I'll be anticipating a long-term buy from the USD. But for this time, the same way we saw from the weekly on USD that we had that supply where we could see price pulling back to, is same here that we have a demand that price could be pulling, also pulling back to before continuing with the uptrend. Okay, so anything still can happen. Let's look at the lower time frames and check if we have anything evident on that. The daily now, we have this high building this low, which later on price shot to the upside, but before that we see price reacting from that supply, coming back down to take out all those lows, especially these double bottoms, and then price shooting to the upside like that. So let me just try and draw that in. So that high building that low with that pullback inside this inside bar, and then price pushing to the upside. Now what price is doing right now is from this low, for me, if you ask me, I don't see it being a significant demand. Why? Because it didn't react. It only react to that sell to buy range, the same way we've seen from the daily. Okay, this one here, this luminous blue. Okay, so for here, because we're in the daily, we are now focusing on the green POIs. Okay, so when price was pushing back down, it didn't actually touch this inside bar, and then when it pushed back up to come and mitigate this somewhat supply, but it's not actually, for me, it's not really that much of a supply, but it's also a zone that price reacted from. Okay, so when price pushed back down, okay, it actually came to here and then created a little bit of reaction like that, and then pushed down again to come and mitigate this demand. Okay, but that wasn't also official because as you see, we have a hammer here which created that deeper pullback, and then later on continued with a move to the downside. Now what were they doing here and here? They were only creating those lows, and also come to later on continue with the move to the downside to mitigate further down inside this deeper demand. But if you check very well, we have these exchanging wicks. Actually, I'm not seeing this right now. That inside this changing wicks is where now we see a range of price just playing around here. Okay, so meaning we've not actually mitigated, this demand officially or rather deeply. Okay, so for me, I'll be expecting at least price to continue to the downside to come and mitigate deeper inside this demand before maybe seeing a little bit of reaction. But also, let's not forget that this demand had not touched this lower demand after this change of character right here, because we had a pullback here, move to the downside, and then push to the upside. So meaning breaking of these highs, meaning we created that bullish change of character. So meaning this could be liquidity for me. Okay, so later on coming back down, we see that we have this kind of void that possibly needs to be filled. Okay, so coming in next week, anything can happen. Price could even react from here and just continue to the upside. Okay, we accept that. But for me, I see this as a void and this as a demand that is hungry for price to come to. Okay, and then maybe continue with that move to the upside as anticipated from the weekly. Okay, so let's now go for on the 4 hour, but before you go there, keep an eye on this demand. Okay, that price could come to there, or this one, the price maybe could be reacting from. But for me, probability is for this demand to be mitigated possibly next week, before the beginning of next month, maybe react from there and then continue to the upside. 4 hour, interesting. The same as the daily. Let's try and see if we can catch this whole, what do you call it, whole structure of the daily. I think I deleted it, but let's just look at the 4 hour. Okay, so overview is this high. Overview is that we have this high creating this low, which later on price shot to the upside. Okay, like that. We again see that move to the downside to create that change of character. Okay, and then price continue to the downside like that. This was the missed trade where price came up and then created that demand with that pullback, and then price pushed up to actually officially mitigate that supply. And then later on price came back down to create that change of character, and then we had that pullback, and then price continued. We had that pullback and then price continued to the downside. So again, price started trickling to the downside like that. Okay, very, very slow. It was it was a very slow week, especially coming in this week from here to here. We see now price pulling back to this supply. Let me try and see if I can explain this, because I took this trade right here. So when price came back up, okay, I had looked at this whole buy to sell range, okay, which price came back into, and then I placed my sell stop right there. Okay, but this one I used it for another account because I wasn't sure of how price would trickle and maybe come in deeper as anticipated, the way you're seeing it. So sell stop set right there, and then price came back down. Later on, I think this was on Tuesday, price pulled back to that supply again, this inside bar, and then now officially came back down. So two trades are here. Two trades were here that could have been taken. Number one is from this supply right here, okay, where price after came back up with this bearish candle, but also did that pullback, that continuation with this week. Okay, and then I took that first trade, and then the second trade was here where price pushed back again. I say this price pushing back to this supply, or rather this what do you call it, inside bar. Okay, you could have placed a sell stop right there again, and then write that sell, or rather that bearish order flow to the downside. Again, we see now price reacting from this demand right here. Okay, remember this demand, price reacting from there and then pushing now lower again to further inside this demand. Okay, so for me, I see this as the official demand. Remember those exchanging wicks in the 4 hour is an official demand. So for me, I see this as an official demand, probably reacting from it right now like that, and then pushing up to this supply. Okay, and for this first trade I didn't share it in the group, but for this second one I did share it in the group. So if you're in this trade, please hold and let us wait. Make peace with your losses, number one, and number two, let us wait to see if maybe price would continue to come and mitigate this area of demand, or maybe take out those lows to actually, or rather ideally, come and mitigate this demand right here, down here. Okay, so anything still can happen, but let us wait and see how Monday will open up. But for now, I just want to say that my stop loss was trailed to there. But for this one, for this trade, I put in another account, which according to their rules, they don't allow weekend holding. So for weekend holding, even if you forgot to, close your trades, then they'll close it down for you. They close it down for you. So I think fair enough. I already took some partials when price got to my 3R right here. Okay. And then I trailed my stop loss. Okay. But also when price broke this low, I already put, or rather set my trailing stop loss at BE right here. Okay. But again, after taking out those 3R, I had to act quickly to take out partials, trail my stop loss to there, and just play a risk-free kind of trade. So let me just remove these tags, because that trade now is deposed by the prop firm, and I'll leave it out at that. So that is my anticipation that price will still continue to respect this order flow and also this supply. This whole range supply, the buy to sell, had been mitigated, and price came in deeper to mitigate the actual supply here, filling up this void. So meaning this will also be pulled out from my setup and for my markings, and then wait now to see how price will react, or rather start out next week. But for me, I am praying for a gap to the downside, as well as a gap to the upside for USD CHF. Okay, so that's just it from Euro USD. For the 15 minutes, let's just focus on the overview, because I don't normally talk about lower time frames, setups, and all that. So let's just look at the overview of the 15 minutes to see if it's evident that we are still continuing with that downtrend. So as you can see, yes, we had switched. Okay, for me, I had switched, that moved to the upside, but yet again price came and took out those lows. So meaning this could just be a slight pullback to that supply like we saw in the 4-hour, and then now continue to the downside from there. Okay, to maybe mitigate this demand, or further down to those demands that we just saw on the 4-hour, like this one. Okay, but for the week, we can see very well that price started off. Let me just remove this one first, so that we can look at the week extensively. Okay, like that. Okay, so we see price opening up with that trickling to the downside. Okay, from the London, the New York. Okay, and that's where my my IBOS, okay, my internal structure got taken out. Okay, with this supply got taken out, and then price came back up to that supply, and then pushed price lower, came back again up to that supply. Remember that inside bar that I told you for the second trade? This is the one that you could have taken that trade from there. And also for those that are doing day trading, this could also be a way for you to take advantage of this supply, where we had a push to the downside, push to the upside, then had a change of character. But before that, we had this supply here that was still waiting for price, which later on we see price coming back to, okay, right there, to take out also these highs, and then price shooting to the downside during the London session. Okay, and also the New York open. Okay, so that's another clue to also check on how to take that trade. Again, we see price pushing back up during the Asian, and then the London now again. Okay, right here, the London again pushing down like that, pushing up to this supply. Okay, and then pushing back down to continue that trend. For this case, we didn't have the move back to this supply, so meaning price just continue to the downside, and also causing that swing break of structure low. Okay, and then now I think this was on Thursday, see a little bit of a range during the New York. Okay, and also the close of the day, which later on Asia came and mitigated this demand. Okay, and then London pushed price up and then took out those lows officially, and also these laws of this demand, and then did that change of character right there. Okay, now if you are aiming in this to take this trade, then you could have at least looked at this as a supply, the price reacted from, and then short to the upside like that. When it came back down like this, it came back down to this demand, which later on price short to the upside to mitigate the supply. So this would have been a very good buy stop right here to play out that move to the upside. I think this, no, this was not NFP. This was not NFP. Yeah, so that's what happened. And this now is the latest supply that we saw on the 4 hour, the price is reacting from. So two things, either price, the way it has pulled back to this whole range supply, but not actually this demand, because with this demand, this week had already did its job. Okay, so we see maybe we could continue to the upside, yes, but for me, I still see that momentum to the downside continuing, especially judging from the higher time frame perspective. So I think that's just all, and that's just how I do my focus, and that is what I see from these three pairs. So number one is maybe continuation to this demand right here on Euro USD. Number two, from USD CHF, is a move to the upside to continue to mitigate these areas of supply. And also for the DAX, let me just do a quick recap. Now for the DAX, it's a little bit confusing because we still have this demand. Maybe price will still come back down to react from and then continue to the upside. So still anything can happen. And yeah, let's just wait and see how things will play out. So that's just it. That's my episode, and that is for today's focus. Do have a lovely weekend. If you want us to trade together, please, I'll leave all my links, TikTok, Telegram, and also YouTube, for you to check them out and see on how you can join in my community for free. Okay, so that we can help each other to get this money. Number two, if you want private sessions to actually work step by step, back testing and all that, let me know also in my inbox, whether in TikTok or Telegram, and I'll make sure that I hook you up so that we get to do this together and help you with your trading journey the same way I am on mine. Okay, and I'm having my own experience. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and all that kind stuff you guys do. Thank you so much again for your support and all the subscriptions. For me, I don't have much, but only to say thank you for joining in even until the end of this video. May you have a great day, great weekend, and great last week of the month of February. God bless you all. Peace.